had spent decades on one of the most iconic TV shows of all time in glorious couture, full hair and makeup, and getting to snog loads of handsome, craggy guys, wouldn't you want to watch yourself doing it?
No.
I would. Apparently, if you're SJP, you definitely wouldn't. And unless you're trapped under something heavy, you probably know that she's currently starring and executive producing. Should we make that a thing?
Absolutely.
And just like that, the Sex and the City spin-off. And people have a lot of thoughts about that show, but she wouldn't know what they were talking about because she does not watch it. She said this lots of times, but here's what she told Howard Stern about it just last week.
And there's a scene where Aiden, your boyfriend in the show, you're having phone sex with him. He licks his hand.
I'm sorry, what?
He takes his tongue and he starts licking his hand. Have you seen this scene at all?
No, I've not seen that.
Is that really true? You really have not seen it?
I've not seen it, no. I haven't seen most of Sex and the City ever.
Right.
And I haven't seen And Just Like That.
I found this just weird, I have to say, on a few levels. First of all, as an executive producer on a show, you have to watch it a lot. I mean, I guess there are different versions of being an executive producer, but part of what you do is you make decisions early on about casting and about scripts, and then you watch the dailies and you watch the first edits of the show and you give feedback. And she's been an executive producer of Sex and the City and now And Just Like That. So I guess what this is suggesting is that it's perhaps a vanity credit or that she inhabits. No, that's a really common thing where sometimes it means that you get more money out of the back end because you can charge a fee for being the star and you charge a fee for being the executive producer. But interestingly, one of the reasons that Kim Cattrall, who played Samantha, gave for wanting to not come back is that she said, well, Sarah Jessica Parker was an executive producer. I feel like we all should have been. And in Just Like That, Cynthia Nixon, who plays Miranda, and Kristen Davis, who plays Charlotte, both are executive producers.
I don't think it's vanity, though, because I think that Sarah Jessica Parker is interested in different things.
I agree.
So if you listen, for example, I remember there was a little doco about And Just Like That in the first season where they talked about how obsessive she was about Carrie's closet. Like, I don't mean literally the clothes, but the way it would be organised, the apartments, the way this would be there and this would be there. And in a little code, the set dressers made it sound like it was kind of a punish. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that there are things that Sarah Jessica Parker is incredibly detailed, focused on, but the end result doesn't seem like it's that. Do you understand it?
I wonder
Jessie?
if this is how you survive 50 years in the industry, is by not watching it. And I reckon that a lot of actors, when they sit down at a premiere or when their film is released or whatever, I don't reckon that they've watched it. I think that you hear a lot of creatives talk about the process and not necessarily being connected to the outcome. And I just reckon that she is very invested in story. She's a Booker Prize judge this year. I think she really cares about words. She's a lover of like literary fiction and that kind of thing.
She's got a book imprint.
She's got a book imprint which is published and Patchett.
As one of her many things.
Yeah. So
she
I
loves
think
talking about books, and she is a big advocate for public libraries, and she talks about growing up. She's one of like 8 or 9 kids, and she was never allowed to leave the house, none of them, unless they had a book with them.
Oh, I love that. Can we please talk about the other tidbit that has come out of this press tour, which is that Sarah Jessica Parker alleges that she reads up to 2 books a day. What do we make of that?
Well, I've listened to interviews with her before where she says that she reads constantly. She's not a social media person, right? We all know that. She's not a phone person. She probably doesn't even have a phone. She's one of those, I think. And she said...
She's like a giant Jane Austen character, and she often talks a bit like that.
She does. And she says that she reads in the makeup chair. Imagine how much time she spends in a makeup chair and has done for 50 years. She says that she reads on the subway. She reads all the time. She reads between takes. She sounds very much like that is her passion. And if you are a Booker Prize judge, I can't believe she's a Booker Prize judge. That is such a flex. Go SJP.
It's
that
such
is the
a
most
flex.
prestigious literary award in the world. And you have to read all the books. That's a big deal.
That's what she said. Is she's just come off, obviously, season 3 of And Just Like That. She's in a period of her career where then she has some downtime. So, of course, she has capacity. I'm like, that's the dream, to read 2 books a day.
But Holly's right. Even when you're working as an actor, there is so much downtime. That's one of the reasons that I can't handle television and I only went to the set one time. There is so much waiting. So much waiting. I was listening to the And Just Like That podcast with Michael Patrick King, who is the, big boss of the show. And he was talking about the scene in episode, I think it's either 2 or 3 with the rats, when she's typing in the garden and all the rats come out. And that was actually filmed on a soundstage, and they had to keep gathering all the rats. I assumed they were CGI rats. They had to gather all the rats and then release them again and again. And each time they were trying to do that, it took ages, and it was 2:00 in the morning. And, so Sarah Jessica Parker does have a lot of time.
The thing that's shocking to people about this, I think, about the idea she doesn't watch it, is because Jessie's right. Lots of actors say they don't watch their work. And for a lot of them, it's part of their process. Like, they're like, I do the work and then I have to disassociate, which seems very well adjusted, but also a tiny bit arrogant in a way, because you learn when you watch yourself back, right? But I guess if you've been doing it 50 years, maybe you don't need to. But the thing that makes this so strange is Carrie Bradshaw is someone that we all know so well. I was thinking about it. I don't think there is a fictional character that I have probably spent more time with in my entire life than Carrie Bradshaw. And so to most of us, SJP is Carrie Bradshaw. And it's like she's someone that we all know really well, but it's like SJP's never met her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't view her the way we view her.
Have you ever listened to Kristen Davis's podcast?
Yes.
It's called I'm a Charlotte or something.
Something about being a Charlotte. Are you a Charlotte?
It's really weird. And she's very elevated. But anyway, when she has SJP on, the whole episode is just her explaining to SJP what happened on the show. I'm serious. But I have a question for you both in terms of, it's one thing not to watch your work back, and a lot of actors don't. I get it. We should technically listen back to every episode of this show. I don't. Do you?
No, absolutely
I go
not.
through phases where I do. Because it is the way you learn.
Yeah.
And then I go through phases where I'm like, I couldn't think of anything worse than having to listen to me, because I just go, listen to the number of times I did that, listen to the way I said that.
It's
and
torture.
It's highly critical. And that's what I've heard SJP say, is I would hate myself. And I've heard Reese Witherspoon say the same thing. I would go into a self-hating spiral. All I can see is all the choices I didn't make, all the mistakes I made. And I get that, right?
Yeah, I get that too. But my question is, it's one thing not watching your work back, but as an executive producer and star of a show, when the whole cultural conversation is in the reaction to your episode was about the lick ick, we spoke about it, and the week before it was about the funny puppet hat that she was wearing. Do you really think she doesn't know that? Do you really think she's not aware of the cultural conversation?
Think she doesn't know it. And what we need to remember is that Sarah Jessica Parker is the antithesis of Carrie Bradshaw. And for the 20 years of the Sex and the City canon, she has sat down for interviews, even the Howard Stern one was a perfect example, to be asked questions that I believe make her uncomfortable. I don't think she likes talking about sex.
Why did she go on Howard Stern?
She did it last time as
Yeah,
well.
but she's done it for years.
But that's what he does, right? And promoting, as we know, promoting a piece of work, a movie, an album, a TV show is very different to what it used to be. You know, in the 90s and the early 2000s, you'd do a high-profile interview with Vogue or Vanity Fair. You might do a cover. You might do a couple of newspaper interviews, maybe a couple of TV interviews, one of those junkets. But now you've got to go on a chicken shop date with Amelia de Moldenberg. You've got to eat hot wings for BuzzFeed. You've got to go and talk to Howard Stern about your sex life. You've got to sit down with, call her daddy, Alex Cooper, and talk about your abortion. It's like...
But I don't think you have to if you're SJP. Do you know what I mean? She's at a level. I was thinking about this because you're so right that whether or not the actor or the producer chooses to engage with the conversation. Think about White Lotus, right? They say that Mike White is really into that. He loves that. But also you can see some of the breakout stars of this recent series loved it, like Walton Goggins. Oh, my God. Like he was the guy who played Rick. Now, he suddenly lent into that so hard. He popped up everywhere.
Patrick Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, he was everywhere. Patrick Schwarzenegger was everywhere. They were leaning into it really hard. They were part of that conversation. And I think that an actor at the level of SJP, who, let's be clear, we reference some of the businesses she has, it's not like she needs the money. You know what I mean? I think she genuinely sees it as work and herself very separately, and she would be like, I will do 4 pieces of content.
Well, you're
right?
contractually obliged to promote a show when you're the star, and you know, the whole point of the show is very much around her and it's sold around her. But I do feel it's a little bit disingenuous, or maybe that's just her shtick, that her publicist didn't go, hey, Howard Stern's probably going to ask you about the hand-licking scene.
The more I learn about her, the more I love her.
I think she's fascinating.
I love her. I think she's the perfect celebrity. There was this great anecdote that she told about being in an airport, and this Robbie Williams recently talked about this, having people come up and wanting to get a photo, and because Sarah Jessica Parker has, as we believe, never owned a phone, she doesn't know what's happening, and she will turn to them, and she said, I turned to this woman in the airport and said, you have not even said hello to me. What I will give you is a conversation, and it will be a lot more meaningful than a selfie. I just kind of love her.
She's like from another time. Yeah. I am worried about her a little bit in the show. She looks pretty miserable. I mean, it would be right that her character would be depressed. She's a widow. I think, you know, Big didn't die that long ago.
It's so funny. That's not how I'm reading it at all. I'm really enjoying watching her be sort of single again. Like, I'm loving seeing her in that house. I'm loving seeing her evolve. I think I loved actually the episode where she went to Virginia and met Aidan's family, because she's talked about this, and I think it's true. Carrie, I know everyone hates Carrie, and I'm a vigorous Carrie apologist.
Not everyone hates Carrie. She's very polarizing.
Yeah, she's polarizing,
as a
but there are like entire websites about like why people should hate her so much. I actually really like Carrie, and I also think that she has changed, and she has.
Do you think she's changed?
I think she's changed, and I think she's going, like, what they're trying to show in these episodes is like her going to Virginia and actually understanding what it means that Aidan has a family, rather than just the concept of it, you know, and kind of tasting that and being like, do I want to be part of that? I love the handsome rider downstairs. I'm very into it.
She made a point too about the Carrie hate, and how there are television shows that have been made about mass murderers, a male mass murderer who doesn't get half the hate that Carrie Bradshaw does, and how there is something deeply sexist about our reading of Carrie. And I think that that's very true.
Is it that? Is it sexist, or is it what Holly was saying, in that we've spent so much time, we identify with this character, you know, that whole thing, are you a Charlotte, are you a Carrie, and everyone wanted to be a Carrie, that when they behave in ways that we don't like, we feel personally betrayed or somehow
Think
judged?
About like Breaking Bad or something. Like, there are shows about complicated men, and we follow them every step and go, I still like him. Has he killed 45 people? Sure. Whereas Carrie makes a morally dubious decision, and we go, I think there's something wrong with her.
This is the thing about likable women, right? Is that I like a lot of women, and some of my great friends, and I'm certain also me, who are not perfect and who make selfish decisions sometimes, and who sometimes are a bit annoying and sometimes are a bit self-obsessed and sometimes go out with the wrong guy. Like, that's what we're actually like. And so I think that all the things you can throw at a Carrie that aren't real, you know, obviously the wardrobe, the money, all that stuff. Actually, the fact that she's a bit annoying sometimes is the most real thing about her. She's also very funny. I love watching her. I think she gets the best lines. Both, I like the lines on her face and on the page. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, it's interesting that I think the criticism that when I feel frustrated with her, it's because she hasn't evolved, not because she has. Like, the whole thing with the shoes just feels so one note, and that whole storyline where it was the thumbs up emoji or the thumbs down. Like, it just seems she can seem very stuck in the 90s, both with her cultural references, you know, when she was like, oh, Little House on the Prairie, instead of, there's no trad wife reference. It's almost like she exists not in this world.
But I think she does. Carrie isn't a TikTok person. You know what I mean? She's just not.
She didn't know what a
Jessica
podcast
Parker isn't. Carrie Bradshaw isn't. Not every woman who's certainly the age that she is as plugged into the zeitgeist as you are, Mia, as cool and relevant and youthful as you are, my friend.